So like me and Jeff always bring it up, and not that we're negative Nancy's or anything, but for the most part, it is spoken about. Like, yes, it's awesome in a demo scenario, but then outside of that, it's like we don't really find a use for it. Like I sold mine. Jeff has been thinking about selling his because it's just collecting dust, you know. So that's kind of
Jeff thinking about selling. Jeff thinking about selling something doesn't mean much because Jeff's always thinking about selling like everything he owns and switching back and forth. So I wouldn't put too much stock into that. But
you know me too well, man.
So it's like it's a cycle then. It's like okay, I'm new to the cycle then.
No, but for me, for Vision Pro, I think I would be lying if I told you I used it as much now as I used it like the first month it was available, because it's been out for 6 months now, which is crazy. But I still find myself using it 4 times a week, 3, 4, 5 times a week. And usually it's for movies or baseball, like watching. I watch almost every Cincinnati Reds game, so I watch a few of those every week in Vision Pro. And the MLB app on Vision Pro is just, it started off a little buggy and rocky, but now it's so good. And you have like, you can like see a model of the field in front of you and see like where the ball is going and like the exit velocity and everything in real time, which is really cool.
Dang, you should write about it. Did you write about it or no?
I don't think I wrote about it. I definitely talked about it when it came out on Happy Hour with Mayo, but it's one of the best examples of a Vision Pro app is the MLB app. It's very, very good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But you're still watching it, so the viewing is still in 2D. It's like a normal broadcast.
It's a normal broadcast,
yeah. Okay.
Because MLB has
stuff is there.
MLB has so much data that they have for every game, and for a long time they've had MLB game day, which you can see in the app on like your phone, but it's just like a 2D interface, like you're seeing where the ball is in the strike zone and that type of stuff. But now they're just augmenting that and putting it in like 3D models in front of you that you can like put in your room, and it's pretty impressive stuff.
Okay, no, that's cool. I remember me and Jeff were saying that one of the things that would lure me right back into the Vision Pro is if I could like watch my Miami Dolphins games in some sort of like 3D environment, which was, I remember way back in the day, it was promised with like the NBA in like 2018, 2017 to have some sort of like courtside view of every single game.
Yeah.
Whereas right now it's I don't know, very one-off experiences like that instead of being consistent throughout. Like that's if that happens, I would go run back and buy it for sure.
The NBA app on Vision Pro, I'm sure you tried it when you had yours, but is really cool, like with the multi-view and the stats and everything. But it's not as cool as the MLB app, and it's definitely not courtside 3D.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I want courtside. Like, I mean that what you're explaining with MLB, it sounds cool. I'm sure it is, but it's like I want the next level. Like to be at the game, sort of like the demo that they had for the soccer for the MLS.
Yeah. Like that's the top above the goal, that view, that was cool.
And one of the things they say they have coming later this year in immersive video is from the NBA All-Star Weekend. I think the slam dunk contest and something else. And that sounds cool to be able to watch it in immersive video, but the problem is the All-Star Weekend was what? 6, by the time it comes out, it'll be like 6 or 7 months ago. And that sort of turnaround time is not really acceptable, I think.
Oh, wait. Would it be like a live broadcast of the slam dunk contest?
No, it's like a replay of the top moments from the last NBA
season. Yeah. I mean, like the finals are already done.
Yeah, exactly. We're about to start the new season starts in October.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that headline, but I thought it was going to be like a live thing.
No.
For this upcoming All-Star game.
Nope.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's the thing. It just seems like it's like, I guess the infrastructure is just that difficult to make it to where there could be maybe, like if it was a week turnaround time, that would be more acceptable, right? But like, we're talking 3, 4, 5 months between that. That just seems like the interest is gone by then. But I don't know if they can ever get to the point where we get like live programming with Vision Pro, like format for Vision Pro.
Live immersive video, I think like this turnaround time and the pace at which new stuff's coming out, I think shows that live immersive video is a long way away. But we did see at WWDC, John Gruber did his talk show like his interview, and it was Greg Joswiak, Craig Federighi, and John Gianandrea, and they streamed that through an app called Theater, made by the guys at Sandwich, like a production company, and they streamed that in spatial video, not immersive video, but spatial video, and it was really cool. And it was the first ever live spatial video event.
I didn't get to watch that. Did that turn out really well?
It was pretty cool, and you could like move yourself around the theater and like sit in the front row or sit a few rows back, sit in the back, move around and kind of see like you were there. The quality is obviously not as good as if you were there. It's not great quality, but for being the first ever spatial video live event, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. That's the thing about like small companies and small like endeavors. You have the flexibility to sort of do stuff like that. But with Apple, it's like there's a lot of inertia, I guess you could say, to get going. So
definitely.
I guess you really don't think about like how much goes into the immersive video piece, because they got to stitch together a bunch of different clips, the 360 cams. So to have it live, it would be like super expensive to begin with, I'm sure. And
expensive, and the bandwidth limitations, and there's a lot that goes into it.
Like I saw that MKBHD video about like a month ago about the golf. Golf stuff that he was doing, and then that alone makes you realize just how much money and how much, like you said, bandwidth and how much physical stuff you need just to do what they're doing. And that's not even immersive video. That's just live track statistics, and like you said, probably similar to like what the MLB is doing. All that from that experience side. So again, we want Apple to jump on it as fast as possible, but you forget just how hard it is. So maybe we should stop being negative Nancy's, Jeff.
Well, I guess one of the reasons, so there was a report that I believe Benjamin Mayo posted maybe a week or two ago about a developer's experience with making games. Or I don't know if it was making games, but it was two parts, actually. It was one with the Apple Arcade and experience with that. And then there was another aspect to it about Vision Pro, and it kind of alluded to the fact that Apple didn't even really have a game plan as far as how the system works, how the software works and intertwines with the hardware.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously that's just one person's report, one person's experience, but to me that was concerning.
Yeah,
it is concerning because Apple Arcade is like it's Apple's strategy for gaming on Vision Pro. Like that is pretty much the extent of it. During WWDC last year, how they explained gaming was you can play Apple Arcade games, connect an Xbox controller, but you're playing it on like a 2D pane in front of you, like floating in your room. It's not 3D, it's not immersive. And what that report explained was basically about there's no financial incentives through Apple Arcade to make Vision Pro games or make more immersive Vision Pro games, even though financial incentives and getting bonuses based on playing time and all of that is a big part of how Apple Arcade works. There's nothing special for Vision Pro. And they some of those developers explained how getting technical support from Apple for developing on Vision Pro was non-existent. And you kind of quickly run into the technical limitations of Vision Pro and Vision OS. And even Apple couldn't direct developers on how to address those and like jump over those hurdles. Which, that report didn't paint a great picture of Vision Pro really, or of Apple Arcade in general. So,
and that was like, wow, if they don't even have like, I mean, it's almost like they're still trying to fill through a dark room to get to the to get to the door, right? And then even Apple is like that. So I don't know. It just didn't instill a lot of confidence in me about Vision Pro.
Like I'm surprised they didn't really think about that before. You know, like I'm sure their goal was to remove all friction and make it as easy as possible to get people to develop games and develop just actual Vision Pro specific apps. But the fact that I guess it is so new, and I mean, I sort of compared it to the iPhone launch, where it was like they made this beautiful kind of tech development, something that's just amazing to use, that's so new, and they just threw it at a wall and hoped people would latch on eventually, right? So like me and Jeff spoke about it last week, how it was a slow rollout for the iPhone, especially the first year, because there was no app store. It was very limited to what you can do. We just knew it was like a beautiful piece of tech, and I feel like the Vision Pro is falling into that category. we just got to see what happens. Because again, like you said, it's only been 6 months.
Yeah.
And we're expecting the world already, and something that's so brand new. So I just kind of want to see how they end up kind of alleviating all those issues. And they're definitely just learning as they go, I feel like. I
think one of the better analogies is comparing Vision Pro to the Apple Watch, because the original Apple Watch was not quite as much of a technical marvel as Vision Pro is and the original iPhone was, but in terms of features and like marketing it, Apple kind of didn't seem to have a clear strategy of what it wanted to do. Like you had the $25,000 gold Apple Watch, and in terms of features and functionality, so much of that first Apple Watch experience was just like mirrored from your iPhone, and that was a really bad strategy. The apps were so slow, and it kind of hindered developers from caring about making Apple Watch apps. But as time went on with the Apple Watch, Apple kind of hit their stride and was like, okay, this isn't a fashion device. We're not going to sell this $20,000 gold one, but it's an excellent fitness tracker, so we double down on activity rings and the ECG stuff and the blood oxygen stuff and focus on that instead of the fashion part of it.
And making you feel like if you don't have one, you might die.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. After a certain age, you definitely need one of those. But I guess like my thing with the Vision Pro is it's like, I don't know how to say this, but it just feels like there's not, first of all, there's still the whole idea with the friction involved with using it. And I know you said you use yours 3 to 4 times a week, and you have incentive to do that. You like to catch up with MLB, things like that. But it's like, do you ever find it challenging, or do you find it kind of arduous to even get going with it? Like if it's just been sitting on your desk or wherever, just the friction to get going with it. I know that's something we talked about before, but has that changed at all in your eyes, or is it still a chore, or do you just, it's not a big deal?
There is a level of friction starting to use it that's higher than using an iPad or a Mac or an iPhone. I think I'm lucky in that I really like the solo loop band or whatever it's called, instead of the dual one. Yeah. Which the solo one is so much easier just to put on. You turn the knob a little bit and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Like that helps the process so much. But I know a lot of people don't like the solo band. They like the dual loop band. And that is like a significant harder process, a much harder process to get it fitted right and adjust it every time. And then you like take it off for a few seconds to do something, or to even just like look at your phone for a few seconds. And then you have to readjust it all. There is a level of just work required to get it on and get it going. But once you have it on, like the experience of using Vision OS, I think, is so nice. And like the animations are so good. The hand tracking feels like magic. You can pair a Bluetooth keyboard, and that experience is a lot better in Vision OS 2 because it actually has keyboard occlusion, so you can see your keyboard if you're immersed in the environment. And if you're in Vision Pro and you realize that you want to use your Mac, you just do the Mac Virtual Display thing through Control Center and never have to take off the actual headset. I feel like there is an added level of friction to get it going, but once you're like immersed in there, it's a good experience, and it's so much fun and so easy to use.
Now, are you using it more for work, for pleasure, a little bit of both? Where do you see yourself kind of using it right now?
Definitely more towards pleasure, more towards TV, movies, sports.
Okay.
But one of the things I like about it from a productivity standpoint is if I have to focus on something, like if I'm writing something that's longer or has a lot of like small details, like I just need to give it my undivided focus. Like I can't be distracted by Slack or Twitter or Threads or anything. I have to give myself that undivided focus. Putting Vision Pro on and like putting my source material on one side, putting my text editor on the other, and just like tunnel visioning and focusing on it. That's one of the best productivity uses for me.
That makes sense. I mean, that's why I like the iPad.
Yeah, it is very similar to the iPad in that regard. Yeah.
Very much so. I guess one of my other concerns, kind of pivoting back to the gaming aspect, how big of a deal is it that Apple isn't really they don't seem all in with gaming on Vision Pro. It obviously there's no like controllers, and that's by design because hand tracking and things like that. Like, do we think that this is going to be a significant hindrance to the adoption? Because gaming is like, it's like a good way to get adoption, I feel like, from the masses, like, because it's so popular. But not having a true gaming strategy or just not having that true focus on gaming, do we think that's a hindrance to Vision Pro's growth? Do you think that's a misstep by Apple? They should have focused on gaming hardcore out of the gate, or do you think it's not a big deal?
I think it is a big deal because if you look at the Meta line, the Meta Quest stuff, gaming is one of the biggest reasons, or probably the biggest reasons most people buy those things. And they do have such a nice collection of games, and Meta works really favorably with the game developers, and they've acquired a lot of those game developers, so they're like in-house at Meta now. And the Quest headsets work with hand controllers and third-party controllers and all of that, whereas Vision Pro doesn't have support for hand controllers. Apple doesn't make a hand controller. Apple clearly went all in on the strategy that the hand tracking is so good, you shouldn't need something like that. But I just don't think that's the case for gaming that's super intense and super, where you need a certain level of precision, which is a category of what you need for a lot of games on Quest and virtual reality in general. So I think that's something whenever we see a Vision Pro 2 or a Vision Air or whatever the next Vision product is, I think and hope that we see a bigger focus on gaming just because that's what people want. But they also have to incentivize developers to make those games, which is a whole nother topic. Apple's relationship with developers. Apple's never been great at gaming. The Mac isn't a great gaming platform. Apple's relationships there aren't great. But hopefully it's something that improves because it is a big, big, big limitation right now.
I mean, I think from a gaming standpoint, the 2D version of it, where you would just have a huge screen using your Xbox controller, I think that's awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Being able to play, especially something like a NBA 2K, which is an Apple Arcade, and it's the full-fledged, $60, $70 version from Xbox pretty much. I remember I was playing that, and it was awesome. But I do want to see, in terms of like immersive gaming, like actual virtual reality gaming, there isn't much out there. And I remember when, again, it was early days when I was playing with it, but something like the Fruit Ninja or whatever they had to kind of build around it, the Vision Pro got hot, man. I remember it was like, you could tell it was working hard to build this environment around me. And once it did work, it was cool. But again, it was cool in like, hey, let me show you what this thing can do versus I'm going to sit here for an hour and a half and play this and try to beat this game for myself because I want to. So Apple definitely needs to kind of step up their game. And they, like you said, they got to figure out a direction of, is the immersive game a world that they want to dive into fully, or do they just want to make the Vision Pro another like a TV on your face so you can kind of have that 120-inch screen right in front of you and play a normal game, So
the gaming, like the 2D gaming thing is interesting too, because I have loaded up like Xbox Cloud Gaming or the direct Xbox Play thing where you like connect to your console in your house, whatever that's called, and just made that window really big, played MLB The Show, and it's a fun experience, but you do quickly find yourself wanting better quality, like higher graphics, because when you blow up a screen so big, you do notice the graphics limitations pretty quickly, and something that's just more immersive, which doesn't exist right now.
I want to play NCAA 25 on it. So
yeah,
I'm going to say that. So there is a game that I found quite impressive, and I think it's a Vision Pro exclusive. It's called Void X. You guys play that? It's like a 2D. It's a 2D shooter game, like a spaceship game, but it's it's completely, I guess, 2D, but the graphics sort of extend outside of the play area. So like when there's an explosion, like you can see it like all throughout your environment, and it's really cool. Actually, it's called Void X. I'd highly recommend checking.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Game. All right. I mean, and then to kind of keep talking about the application situation, because I know that it opened up with 600 apps. I know a lot of them, it works with iPad apps and things like that. But I think Benjamin Mayo also wrote an article recently that now they're up to 2,500. Yeah. So have you seen yourself using a lot of these third-party apps? Do you is most of your work done inside the Apple ecosystem apps? What does that look like right now?
It's tricky because there are 2,500 apps, but that's kind of small in comparison to the number of apps you have on your iPhone or your iPad. So like, one of the things I ran into right off the bat was finding like a native Vision Pro RSS reader, which doesn't exist, I don't think. And if it does, it's relatively new because I couldn't find it. That was one that I was really missing out on. Then finding like a good text editor, specifically like a Markdown text editor, is hard. There's one called Runestone that's pretty good, but if you rely on something like Obsidian or Ulysses, they don't even let you run their iPad app on Vision Pro, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
I think there's like, we saw a lot of developers come out of the gate with high expectations for making Vision OS apps, and then in the intervening months we've heard some of them talk about how they literally have like dozens of people who use their apps every day, like dozens. That's all. And
that's tough.
It's you can't blame a developer for not dedicating their time to making a Vision Pro app, especially like a small indie developer. And then you have some third-party Vision OS apps that are really good. There's an app called Supercut that kind of brings a native Netflix experience to Vision Pro, even with like an immersive theater environment. That's a really good app. Infuse, the video playback app, is on Vision Pro. I think it might just be test flight beta right now, but it's really good. They're making a lot of progress. There are good signs, but at the same time, when you have developers saying dozens of people are using their apps every day, that doesn't instill confidence in the future.
And that's like, it's a bigger problem than when the iPhone launched the App Store, obviously. I mean, it's completely not even comparable because iPhone at that time had a lot of adoption. And the price, the price thing is by far the biggest barrier to entry with Vision Pro, like period. And until they really get that addressed with the next Vision Pro, there's going to always be that issue where there's just not enough users for developers to be incentivized to make these games. So it's like a chicken and egg scenario. It's like, which one comes first?
Yeah.
So,
and you can clearly see the companies that Apple's worked closely with to make good Vision OS apps. Like Disney Plus, for example, is a great example of a really good Vision Pro experience. They just launched their fifth immersive environment this week. It's like an Iceland national park environment, and it's really good. You have HBO or Max, whatever it's called, has immersive environments. Paramount Plus launched an immersive environment this week for SpongeBob. You can clearly see where Apple's like holding developers' hands a little bit to help them. But that commitment, I think, isn't there in general, and there's just not an incentive.
And you see that it's going, all the developer power seems to be going towards entertainment. Because I feel like that's what people are going to be gravitated towards. Because I'm starting to think of like an RSS feed or like the Markdown app. Like, how can you Vision Proify that past what it really is? You know, like just throw the iPad app in there. Or I think the most productive thing that you can do, unless you're like, you know, a surgeon or something like that, or an engineer, is just pull up your second display, get that ultra wide monitor, and just, you know, work inside of Mac OS, and then, you know, entertain yourself after the fact with going into the Disney Plus stuff. So that's what it's definitely just more of an entertainment device, and I've noticed that I gravitated towards it in the same scenarios that I would put over-ear headphones on, right? So like the airplane to watch a movie, to pass time, to listen to music, or just when I was alone and I had nothing else to do, I'd just throw it on and watch something, right? So from a productivity standpoint, even though I feel like Apple really wanted it to be productivity focused and they didn't want to be the next kind of Meta, Oculus, whatever it's called now, I feel like that's the way that they're kind of going.
I think I said this like in the week after Vision Pro came out, where if Mac Virtual Display wasn't a feature, this product would be so much less useful than it is. That is just such a good escape hatch to have, just to be able to load up your Mac and use your Mac apps. And it's getting better this year with Vision OS 2 as well, with the ultra-wide interface and that feature. Like whatever Apple engineer was like, we should put Mac OS virtualized on Vision Pro. Whoever came up with that, like, give them a raise, because that
deserves a raise.
That is so good. It's so good.
Yeah, that's tough. But so you're holding on to it? You're liking? Is Vision OS 2 good? You liking it?
Vision OS 2 is great. The new gesture to go to like the home screen and control center where you like look at your hand and turn it over, that's really good. The new Bora Bora environment's really good. The keyboard occlusion's good. And it just feels.
I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on the environments. Like that Bora Bora one is probably my favorite. But I always feel like I'm in handcuffs when I'm in those environments, because it's like that's literally all you can do is look around. Like there's no movement within the environment. It's like that would be so cool if we could walk down the beach, right?
Yeah.
But you're like it's like you have your hands behind your back and you're just handcuffed to a tree. And you're just
much. Like, take it in, though. Take it in.
This is nice, but I can't go down to see what that tree looks like down there. And it's just, it feels, I don't know. I kind of feel, it's weird. I feel a little claustrophobic using it because you can't move in the environment.
Yeah.
So I just think that's such I won't say missed opportunity because maybe Apple already has that plan where you can actually move around, or just being able to see other people in the environment or other avatars or whatever the case may be. Like it just feels so lonely, I guess. And maybe that's the point, like to get away, but it just feels like not only are you secluded in this headset, but then you're on the island by yourself. It's like you've crashed a plane and then you're like castaway, dude. So it's nice in one aspect, but it feels so lonely and secluded in another aspect.
I think I'm on the opposite side of you because I like that escape like that. Just give me some time by myself to do what I want to do, whether I'm writing or whether I'm watching something. Like I like that. I want to feel like I'm not just sitting at my desk staring at the same thing like I do for the 8 hours every day.
Yeah.
Understand them. Yeah. I get that.
I think too, there's 8 environments in Vision Pro right now from Apple. And 8 is a good number. 8 is more than 6, which we had in February, but I do want more. And you see an app like Disney Plus that has 5. And Vision Pro is Apple's platform and they have 8. And Disney Plus has 5. That balance seems a little bit out of whack. And I think part of it could be solved if Apple let those third-party apps like donate their environments to the system. So where you're in Disney Plus, for example, and you're working in the Disney theater, or you're watching something in the Disney theater, why can't I also like go to the home view and open up other apps just like I can with an Apple app? Because right now Disney has those great environments, and you can literally only use them to watch content that's on Disney Plus. Yeah, that is such a limitation and a huge missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of kind of using environments even outside of the Vision Pro. Like I'm the type of person that'll throw in those like YouTube environments where you're like at a beach and you just have like jazz music playing softly while like you read a book, or like you're getting, it's like my ambient noise, right? That's kind of how I like to use it. So I liked the environments also, especially the Disney ones. But again, it would be cool to open them up a little bit and just be able to use them throughout the entire native interface. Yeah. Because like you said, it's a missed opportunity for sure by Apple. I'm trying to think of what other Vision... Oh, I had one more question about the Vision Pro. So you mentioned kind of going back to that loneliness aspect of it all. So you're watching the MLB game. It's a 7 o'clock game. What is your wife doing when that's happening?
So she's
what is that situation like?
She's either working or doing. Well, she was doing schoolwork, but she's done with school now, so that's that. But she is a big reader. She reads for hours every day, which bodes really well for me having Vision Pro time, because she'll just go off and read, and I'll be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna watch something on the Vision Pro, and it's a great balance. Like, but I can totally see where, if that's not really your lifestyle, or if you have kids, especially, I can see where putting on Vision Pro at 7 o'clock at night and immersing yourself in a baseball game is not going to go over well with the rest of your family. Like, I fully understand that, and the loneliness is a big aspect, I think, for those types of families and those types of lives. But that's not me right now. So
that's fair. I guess that's true, because I guess towards the end of the night, to paint a picture, put our daughter to bed around like 8:30, and my wife, she reads too. And while she reads, I'm playing NCAA 25. That's my time to play my video game. So I guess that does make a ton of sense. But are you guys like together? Does she interact with you when you have it on? No, not really.
She'll go off into like a separate room or something, or she treats it basically like if I was watching on like a TV, like whether I'm watching on the TV in my office or the TV in the living room, like that's how she treats it. She's like, I don't care about baseball. Like, watch your baseball game or watch whatever TV show I'm watching, because we have shows that we like watch together. And of course, I don't watch those on Vision Pro, but I also have shows that I watch without her that she doesn't care about. Yeah. And that's what I'll watch on Vision Pro.
Okay. Yeah, because that was one of the aspects that kind of threw me off when I had it. It was like, again, once I leave my office at like 5, whatever the case is, like I'm not gonna put that thing on at 6:00 when I'm gonna go hang out
Why
with my
not?
daughter.
You have eyesight. Why not?
I don't want to freak her out.
Eyesight.
I remember I had a video of my daughter. She was even doing this thing like out of nowhere. She was just like pulling her hand up and just clicking on the air, and she's like, "Watch this," and I was like, "All right, it's time." But yeah, and there's still no Apple Intelligence in there, right?
Nope.
No.
And there probably never will be. I think Vision Pro has like so much computing power with the M2 chip and the R1 chip, but the baseline of what Vision Pro is doing at any point is so much higher than the baseline of what an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac is doing, just with all of the, whether you're using pass-through or using an environment, there's so much background stuff going on. And that's why you see it get hot, and maybe you have some crashes when you get too many apps open, or because that was my biggest problem with the NBA app, was if you had even just one game and all the stats like around the screen, eventually it would get hot and it would just crash. Like it was hard to make it through an NBA game without a crash of some sort.
Yeah. I guess that's true. That thing is doing so much already just to have its normal interface open. But I guess good segue. What are your initial thoughts on Apple Intelligence? Just real quick.
I think it's a great start. It's a great start. I think the biggest misstep they've made is to launch the new Siri interface without any added functionality for Siri, because I think it just throws off your instincts. You think Siri is so much more powerful than it is because it looks so good. Like that interface is absolutely gorgeous.
So cool. Yeah.
So good. And then you ask it something and it just completely falls down. And you're just like, okay. But the writing tools are really good. Like proofreading, rewriting, summarizing. Especially on iPhone and iPad, I think that experience is significantly better there than on the Mac, just because the interface on the Mac for writing tools isn't as good as it could be. It's basically all like in that one like pop-up modal thing. Like there's no dedicated writing tools app. There's no just bigger interface for it. But I think it's off to a good start. There's obviously a lot still to come. The image stuff in particular is going to be interesting whenever like Image Playgrounds and Genmoji launch, and then you do have the more powerful Siri coming at some point, but
hopefully,
maybe
nobody knows. My
knows.
favorite feature so far, I don't know about you, Chance, but I love the summarized messages notifications. That is so good.
So good.
You receive a barrage of text from somebody, and it's like you have to read through all these texts. But here, you just have this one little paragraph that summarizes the entire conversation. You're like, oh, I know what that's about. I can check it later.
Yeah,
and it's really so cool. Good.
It's really good.
Even if it's like 100 messages, it'll give you like the synopsis of what those messages are in like 1 or 2 lines, which is crazy.
The one thing I've noticed is that it does a lot better with like not professional, but like if you're talking with a friend, you're using a lot of shorthand and maybe some sarcasm and some humor that Apple Intelligence just doesn't get. Like I notice when I'm texting with Zach, for example.
Oh no.
Our texting is like really unhinged. Like I could show you the full messages and you wouldn't get it. And the summaries that Apple Intelligence comes up with are kind of funny, but for most messages,
Zach is jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. No, that's cool. I mean, I've been a fan of Apple Intelligence so far.
Yeah.
Like you said, the writing tools are cool. One of the ones that I've noticed is maybe it's getting better as it's like learning from me, but it gives me like, the suggestions that you get over the keyboard that are kind of like rainbowed. They're getting better and better. Like it'll give me an entire phrase that I would say to like my wife or my friends or something like that, and now I just gotta like click it and it sends it. So I'm sure it'll get better over time, and they give us more tools. Again, beta 1, 18.1. They jumped the gun on this one too, which is kind of weird, where we have 18.0 and 0.1 running at the same time in the beta. So we'll see how it goes.
And some of the most advanced features won't even be till like 18. I think Mark Gurman has said the timeline for the more advanced series like 18.4, which would be
that's crazy.
February, sometime around there.
With the iPhone 17 launch.
Yeah. There's a realistic possibility where some of the Apple Intelligence features announced at WWDC 24 aren't available by WWDC 25. Like that seems like a real possibility.
Wow.
We'll get there.
I guess, do you want to talk iPhones real quick? What are you,
sure.
The new ones? iPhone 16? It is kind of crazy that we're literally like a month away.
Yeah, probably about exactly a month.
Yeah. What do you think? First off, what do you think about the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus not having Apple Intelligence support?
I think it signals how maybe last minute some of the Apple Intelligence stuff was. You have to think that if iPhone lead times are so early, like iPhone specs and hardware get finalized so far in advance, it seems like what happened is they'd finalized iPhone 15 specs. So the A16 chip inside with 6 gigabytes of RAM before they knew what the Apple Intelligence limitations would be, which is A17 and particularly 8 gigabytes of RAM. I think it's one of those examples where like Apple, the left hand wasn't talking to the right hand inside the company, and it's disappointing, I think.
Well, there was that report about like Craig Federighi using like Copilot and having sort of a light bulb moment. I don't know if that was like the thing that really spurred on the development.
I think that story was that he was using Copilot on Christmas break of 2022. So that would have been 9 months before the iPhone 15 was announced. So yeah, I just don't think they knew the strategy yet, and that's why it's all messy right now.
It's interesting how they quickly jumped on. They went from like no to yes on AI so quickly. I guess they finally saw, they're like, you know what, man, everybody's doing this. We have to Appleify this thing quick and figure out what our secret sauce is going to be. And it is a shame. Like, I do get a lot of people on Twitter kind of being PO'd that they just got a 15 Plus, in February of this year. It's brand new. It's got USB-C, dynamic island, but I'm not going to get the cool Siri animation. Yeah, they should just bring the Siri animation over and with no changes functionally.
Well, that's what we have now, so you might as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of another. I mean, can you guys think of another like major feature like this baked in within the OS that was like year over year the previous version didn't get it?
I don't think so. Usually Apple is so
maybe?
Yeah, Stage Manager's a decent one.
That's iPad.
Yeah,
that's way more niche. Yeah, people don't really care about Stage Manager. That was major for me. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But like Siri is just such a integral part of the iOS experience, and like to have a phone you bought just last year and not have basically it is Siri now. Like that's how Siri is going to be looked at going forward. To not have that's pretty disappointing. But
dang, so are 15 Plus users and 15 users just going to have the normal Siri ball pop up? Like their interface is going to be normal?
Yep. No changes for them.
The FOMO I would have. Maybe that's part of their plan. Let's get more people on the 16.
Yeah, that's what some people. I don't necessarily think limiting it to the 15 Pro and Pro Max is out of spite or like a nefarious decision by Apple.
Yeah, me either.
I literally just think they screwed up and they weren't thinking far enough ahead when they were laying out the specs for the iPhone 15.
Yeah, and it's like Apple Intelligence. It just seems like, we got to get on this. Like it was almost like that. Like he used it and was like, he saw the potential and didn't really. I don't think anyone really got it before then. Or So
they couldn't wait 10 years like they did with USB-C. They're like, we got to do this. You
didn't have investors freaking out about the lack of USB-C on an iPhone, but you had investors freaking out about the lack of an AI strategy from Apple.
It is crazy how AI has just taken over in the last 3 years, maybe 2 years,
something like that. Yeah,
it feels like we've had it forever now, which is crazy to think about. And 2 years ago it wasn't here. Now Apple's adopted. This is definitely like the quickest ramp up I've seen Apple adopt something that wasn't. Apple takes their time with things. Normally. They like to perfect it. They like to be the best at it, and it takes them 4, 5, 6 years to really do it. And then this one was quick, man. I'm very surprised that they jumped on it so quickly.
Yeah, and the good thing, though, is that they've used AI, it's been an integral part of iOS for years.
Yeah.
Right? And even with the hardware aspect, the machine learning. So it's really just like nomenclature almost at this point.
Yeah, neural engine.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I think that's, too, why you see Apple, falling back on ChatGPT as, such a big part of the Apple Intelligence strategy. I don't think they want to do that. In an ideal world, they would make their own chatbot, but they just weren't ready for it. So now you have ChatGPT and hopefully Google Gemini and the others as options at some point. But
When does it go to ChatGPT exactly? Like when I know that there's like a threshold that's stuff that's on device versus not.
So
do you know what that threshold is?
What Apple says is that it'll go out to ChatGPT for things like world knowledge. So Siri will try to.
But isn't ChatGPT delayed too, or no? Am I making that up?
Varies depending on what you ask it, but it has such a good like model of questions and facts about everything you could ever imagine. Whereas Apple says the point of Siri is going to be personal context, doing things like with awareness about your device and your mail and your calendar and all of that type of stuff. And if you ask it something like, tell me the current roster of the Miami Dolphins, that'll probably get passed out to ChatGPT. Yeah.
Fair.
Because that's world knowledge.
That's not on device? Come on.
No.
That's not built in there?
Yeah, just the Miami Dolphins roster is the way.
That makes sense. I mean, Jeff, what do you think? Do you think you're going to be using it like that or no?
I think so. I mean, yeah, I could see that. I think Siri is comparing Siri, a query that you get now from Siri versus a query to ChatGPT is like, it's like asking a toddler versus asking someone who's lived 4 years, like a 4-year-old. Like it's just not even in the same ballpark of responses. So, yeah.
That's why I keep my action button set to ChatGPT. It says my action button just opens the app. Yeah.
Funny enough, I just changed my action button to straight up call my wife. Just a quick one. I forget who I saw somebody on a video do that. I was like, you know what? I don't really use the action button. Let me throw this on here.
Yeah. One of the reasons I don't use the action button because the case I use is still I don't use an Apple case, so it's like super hard to.
Really?
I need to like put an extension on my thumb to be able to click in there.
Does it have the cutout for the action button and not the?
It does, but it's just so recessed in there. It's just I always forget.
Well, I remember case manufacturers had to like remake a bunch of cases because they left the hole open like that, but people had the problem that you're having. Yeah. So then they had to replace the hole with an actual button, like another volume.
I guess I could put like basically a little nub in there and just make it.
Man, let me send you I got mad cases with the button. Let me send you one, man.
All right.
Fernando's got cases and accessories piling up.
Yeah.
It's blessed. Thank you. Got to play with all these toys.
Well, I'm looking at the notes, Fernando, and I see you have something interesting in there.
All right, yeah. I mean, you want to play a little game to wrap this up, Chance?
Sure. What do we got?
Yeah, and we can alternate. Maybe we can each give our words, right? So just a little word association game.
Okay.
Right. I think I played this with Tom from Byte Review, who was on like 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to throw out an Apple product name. It could be a product, physical, it could be a service, software, and then you just give me 1 or 2 words that come to mind.
Okay.
And then maybe on a couple we can elaborate a little bit. All right?
Cool.
So let's go with the iPod. Let Chance go first. The OG iPod.
It's the reason that Apple is what it is today.
Fair. I would say... I mean, Jeff, jump in here too.
I couldn't afford it.
It's the most Jeff answer I could have imagined.
Yeah. Mine is U2 edition. Because that's the first one that I remember. That black and red one. I remember it was so cool.
Didn't it have like Bono's signature on like a fake Bono signature on the back or something? Yeah.
They have 2 fingers touching like that.
Those special edition boxes, you know?
Different times.
And now we just get nothing. It's just like a sliver piece of cardboard. But all right, next one. Let's do AirTags.
Stalking. I stole yours, James.
No. A great value. $29 to help you find something. You can't really beat that, I guess. Or stalking.
That's a good one. Mine just goes to like luggage because we've lost luggage before and haven't been able to find it the next day. The next one I got is, let's go with MagSafe, but the new the version on the iPhone, not the computer version.
Significantly better than Qi charging. It makes wireless charging useful.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm gonna think. Unexpectedly great for me. I wasn't expecting much when it first came out, and now with all these accessories, it's nice. It's definitely cool.
I'd say versatility because there's, like you said, tons of accessories. My favorite is the one where it's like a little, I think it's from Moment, and it's just a little round circle with a whole bunch of quarter 20 mounts. So you can like mount your iPhone in all these different ways. It's really cool.
No, yeah, MagSafe was definitely a good surprise. I was like, what is this thing at first? And now I use it for everything. Let's go with continuity.
It just works for the most part.
That I was going to say infuriating because it works 96% of the time, but then it doesn't work. And when it doesn't, like I can't get universal control to work right now between my Mac and my iPad for some reason, and I have no idea why. And there's like 2 settings, and they don't actually do anything. So it's like just doesn't work right now. I have to wait till the wind is blowing in a different direction or something, then it'll work.
I mean, the copy paste from Mac or iPad to iPhone, that is the best thing in the world. You know, it's every now and then, like you said, it doesn't work, and then like, I got to copy it into my Notes app, and then it's got to sync, and then I got to see it on my phone. But when it does work, like I said, it's magic.
It is.
Let's do like 2 more. I guess we'll save that one for last. Let's do iPad Magic Keyboard.
No USB-C.
Oh,
no, you said iPad. I'm thinking of Mac. I'm like, expensive.
It is expensive.
Yeah.
What would I say? Over-engineered, but worth it.
Not as useful on the small iPad as that is on the big one.
Okay. I've never tried the 11-inch Magic Keyboard. I could see it being pretty crammed, though.
It is pretty cramped, yeah.
Yeah? Is that the one that you have?
Yeah, that's what Apple sent me the review unit, and it's the 11-inch iPad Pro with nano texture. Nano texture is nice, and the 11-inch Magic Keyboard.
It is.
Okay, nice. And I guess to round it off, the subject we started with, Vision Pro. And you can't say expensive, Jeff. It's a tough one.
I'm gonna go with like over-engineered. When you think of things like eyesight and the display on the outside and the curved OLED and whatever, the lenticular OLED, it's a little bit over-engineered for what people actually want out of a product like this.
Made out of like heavy metals, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, keep it premium. I'm trying to think, what would I say? Maybe like some sort of, like the Demo Master. You know?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful demo, man. Like, I remember when I had it, what brought a smile to my face was seeing people's reaction when I showed them what it could do. You know?
Yeah.
That was like one of my favorite parts about the Vision Pro. What do you got, Jeff? He's going to say expensive.
eBay.
No, don't sell it. Those things are going for like $2,000 or less on eBay right now, I think I saw.
They are?
Yeah, so you're better off just holding on to it, Jeff. Don't sell it. You take a huge loss if you sell it.
I wonder what their sales numbers are right now. I have no idea.
They can't.
And it's not like they're not like AirPods Max or like over your headphones. Like it's harder to see these in the wild because you know there's something that you do at home mostly.
And that's the thing. Yeah, that's what we were talking about last week. It's like the marketing aspect of it. Like the iPhone marketed itself in a lot of ways because people saw you with it. Like I remember using one for the first time. It was a guy that I worked with, and I was like, "Oh, this is a game changer." Like I had seen the coverage on it, but to actually use it in person was like mind blowing. And that's something that headsets and just by nature, you're really not going to have that experience as much unless it's like a friend or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's so true. Yeah. But that was the last one that I had. I like that little game. Gets me thinking.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chance, we always appreciate your expertise and like just you're good at what you do.
Thank you.
You're prolific, and we appreciate you all you do. So thank you for joining us.
Of course, happy to do it anytime.
Yeah.
And happy birthday, man. Leave some comments down below.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say how old you are. But let people guess down below, see what they think.
Yeah.
If you shave the beard, it'd probably be like 21 though.
Yeah, it'll take quite a number of years off. Yeah.